What if I told you that one of the most powerful and effective things you can do for your health is something you've been told your entire life to avoid at all costs? What if skipping breakfast isn't a nutritional sin, but a secret weapon? And what if the ancient, forgotten, and completely free practice of fasting holds the key to solving many of our most pressing modern health crises, from obesity to type 2 diabetes and beyond? For decades, we've been trapped in a single, simple, and catastrophically wrong idea about how our bodies work. We've been told that weight loss is a simple math problem. Calories in, calories out. Just eat less and move more, they said. If you're not losing weight, it's a personal failing. You're just not trying hard enough. You lack willpower. But what if that entire model is a lie? In their groundbreaking book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, Dr. Jason Fung and Jimmy Moore present a powerful new paradigm, one that is actually thousands of years old. They argue that the key to a healthy weight and a healthy metabolism is not about counting calories, but about controlling hormones. This book is a scientific and practical exploration of fasting as the most effective tool we have to reset our bodies, heal our metabolism, and unlock a level of health we didn't think was possible. This isn't a story about starvation or deprivation. It's a story about giving your body a much-needed rest and allowing its own profound innate healing mechanisms to finally do their job. The Great Calorie Deception. Before we can understand why fasting is so powerful, we have to dismantle the myth that has dominated nutritional thinking for the past 50 years. The calorie deception. The idea that weight gain is caused simply by consuming more calories than you burn is intuitively appealing. It's simple math. But there's a huge problem with this theory. For millions of people, it just doesn't work. We've all seen it. Someone diligently cuts their calories to 1,500 per day and increases their exercise. They lose a few pounds at first and then, inevitably, they hit a plateau. Their weight loss grinds to a halt. Even worse, they feel terrible. They're constantly hungry, cold, and tired. Their body seems to be fighting them every step of the way. So what's going on? Dr. Fung explains that our bodies are not simple calculators. They are complex biological systems governed by hormones. And the single most important hormone when it comes to weight management is insulin. Think of insulin as the traffic cop for your body's energy. When you eat, especially carbohydrates and sugar, your blood sugar goes up and your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin's job is to direct that sugar out of the blood and into your cells to be used for energy. But it has another equally important job. When insulin levels are high, it sends a loud and clear signal to your body: store fat. High insulin locks your fat cells, preventing them from releasing their stored energy. This is the key. You cannot burn stored body fat when your insulin levels are high, so if you are eating 6 small, low-calorie meals a day, as was often recommended, you are spiking your insulin 6 times a day. You are constantly telling your body to be in fat-storing mode. Your body, needing energy, can't access your fat stores because insulin has locked the door. So what does it do? It makes you hungry so you'll eat more, and it lowers your metabolism to conserve energy, making you feel cold and tired. This is why calorie-restricted diets fail. They work against your body's own hormonal signals. It's not a failure of willpower, it's a failure of the model. The true villain of the story: insulin resistance. The problem gets even worse over time. If you are constantly eating throughout the day, year after year, you are constantly asking your pancreas to pump out insulin, and your body's cells over time can become deaf to insulin's signal. Imagine your cells have a door, and insulin is the person who knocks on the door to tell it to open up and accept sugar for energy. In the beginning, insulin knocks politely, and the cell opens the door. But if you're eating all the time, insulin is knocking on that door constantly, all day long. Eventually the cell gets annoyed. It puts on a pair of noise-canceling headphones. It starts to ignore the knock. This is insulin resistance. So what does your body do? It tells the pancreas, "The cells aren't listening, we need to knock louder." So the pancreas pumps out even more insulin. Now, instead of a polite knock, insulin is banging on the door. For a while this works, the cell grudgingly opens up. But over time the cell just turns up the volume on its headphones and the body has to shout even louder, producing more and more insulin to do the same job. This creates a vicious cycle. You end up with chronically high levels of insulin in your blood. And what does high insulin do? It tells your body to store fat, and it prevents you from burning it. This is the biological trap that so many people find themselves in. They can be eating a so-called healthy diet, But because their body is so resistant to insulin, their insulin levels are always high, and they are stuck in a permanent state of fat storage. The question then is, how do you break this cycle? How do you make your cells sensitive to insulin again? You have to give them a break. You have to stop knocking on the door for a while. This is where the ancient practice of fasting comes in as the powerful modern solution. Fasting, Dr. Fung explains, is simply the voluntary act of not eating for a certain period of time, and it is by far the most direct, efficient, and effective way to lower your insulin levels. Think about it. What causes insulin to be released? Eating. So, what is the simplest way to stop insulin from being released? To stop eating for a controlled period of time. It's not a drug or a supplement, it's the simple act of giving your body a rest. When you are fasting, a series of amazing things begin to happen in your body. First, with no food coming in, your blood sugar levels start to fall. In response, your pancreas gets the signal to stop producing so much insulin. Insulin levels in your blood begin to plummet. The constant banging on your cells' doors finally stops. This gives your cells a chance to take off their headphones and become sensitive to insulin's signal again. Fasting directly reverses insulin resistance. As your insulin levels fall, the lock on your fat cells is finally removed. Your body, needing energy and not getting it from food, says, "Okay, time to open up the pantry." It begins to burn your own stored body fat for fuel. This is the metabolic switch that so many diets promise but fail to deliver. Fasting flips that switch naturally and efficiently. You go from being a sugar burner to being a fat burner. This is why people who fast often report a steady, consistent energy level and a dramatic reduction in hunger. Their body is no longer dependent on a constant stream of external sugar for fuel. It has learned how to access its own vast reserves of stored energy. The fountain of youth, autophagy, and the deeper benefits of fasting. Autophagy literally means self-eating. It sounds scary, but it's actually your body's essential cellular cleanup and recycling program. Think of your body as a busy city. Over time, the city accumulates junk, old damaged proteins, misfolded cells, broken down cellular machinery. This cellular junk can lead to inflammation, aging, and an increased risk of diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's. When you are constantly eating, your body is in growth mode. It's busy building and storing. It doesn't have the time or the energy to do deep cleaning. But when you fast, your body goes into a state of repair and conservation. It says, "Okay, no new materials are coming in right now. Let's use this downtime to clean up the city and recycle some old parts." It activates the autophagy pathway. Your cells begin to hunt down old damaged components, break them down, and recycle them into new usable parts. It is literally a form of cellular spring cleaning. It's a deep, powerful cleanse that reduces inflammation, promotes cellular health, and may have profound benefits for longevity. Beyond autophagy, fasting has been shown to have a host of other benefits. Many people report a significant increase in mental clarity and focus while fasting, likely because the brain runs very efficiently on ketones, the energy source produced from fat. It can trigger the release of human growth hormone, which helps to preserve muscle mass and repair tissues, and it can dramatically reduce inflammation throughout the body. Fasting is a holistic reset for your entire system. The Practical Guide: How to Fast Safely and Effectively. So how do you actually do it? The Complete Guide to Fasting is, as the title suggests, a very practical manual. The most important thing to understand is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Fasting is a flexible tool, not a rigid dogma. The most popular form of fasting is intermittent fasting, or IF. The most common protocol is 16-8, which means you fast for 16 hours and have an 8-hour eating window each day. For most people, this simply means skipping breakfast and eating your first meal at noon and your last meal at 8 p.m. It's a simple and sustainable way to get many of the benefits of fasting. Other protocols include 24-hour fasts, eating one meal a day, or alternate day fasting. The book also debunks the common myths and fears associated with fasting. The biggest fear is that fasting will slow down your metabolism and cause you to lose muscle. Dr. Fung shows that this is the exact opposite of what happens. Studies show that short-term fasting can actually increase your metabolic rate, as your body releases adrenaline to give you the energy to go hunt for food. And because fasting triggers the release of human growth hormone, it helps to preserve your precious muscle mass. Another common fear is hunger. And yes, in the first few days of a new fasting routine, you will feel hungry. But the book explains that hunger is like a wave. It comes, it crests, and then it passes. If you can just ride out the wave by drinking a cup of tea, a glass of water, or just waiting it out, it will go away. Over time, as your body becomes fat adapted, the hunger pains dramatically decrease. The most critical part of fasting safely is to stay hydrated. You must drink plenty of fluids. Water, green tea, and black coffee are all fine. And it's important to get enough salt and electrolytes to avoid headaches and fatigue. But the most important rule of all is to listen to your body. Fasting is not about punishing yourself. If you feel truly unwell, you should stop. Fasting is not a new fad. It is an ancient tradition, practiced for thousands of years by cultures all over the world for reasons of health and spiritual clarity. What Dr. Jason Fung has done is to provide the modern scientific explanation for why this ancient wisdom is so incredibly powerful. He shows us that fasting isn't a strange or extreme practice. It is a return to a more natural, ancestral way of living, a way of giving our bodies the rest and healing they desperately need in our overfed, overstimulated modern world. It is a profound and simple tool for taking back control of your own health. It's a philosophy that teaches us that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is nothing at all. If this inquiry into the science and philosophy of health resonates with you, if you are ready to challenge the conventional wisdom, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe and let's continue the journey.